I usually don't ask this early, but if you could like the video and subscribe, it would mean a lot. We're so close to hitting 10,000 subscribers, and your support can really help get my content out there. Thanks. I never thought I'd be the one writing something like this, but here I am. I guess we all think things like this won't happen to us. Until they do. My story is long, and I need to get it all off my chest. So here it goes, and if anyone's been in my shoes, I could really use some advice right now. My name's James, I'm 38, and I've been married to my wife, Emily, 35, for 10 years. We live in Melbourne, and on the surface, everything seemed perfect. I work as an architect, and Emily's a marketing executive. We've built a comfortable life together, beautiful home, good jobs, solid group of friends, and generally, we've always been pretty happy. Or so I thought. From the outside, our life would look picture-perfect to most people. We've got a 3-bedroom house in the inner suburbs, a nice little backyard where we'd entertain friends on the weekends, and we'd regularly go out to dinners, take trips along the Great Ocean Road, and have lazy Sundays at the markets. Honestly, I thought we were still in sync, until things started to change. It was subtle at first. Emily and I have always had busy careers, but we made a point to spend time together. That started to shift about 6 months ago. She started working late more often, which wasn't that strange for her, but it became more frequent. I'd come home to find her already in bed, or she'd arrive late after a work function. We've both always been independent, so I didn't question it at first. But looking back, I can see the signs now. It was the small things that started to build up. Her phone never leaving her side, the way she seemed less interested in spending time together, and the fact that she was pulling away emotionally even though she didn't seem to notice. I kept telling myself it was just work stress, that everyone goes through periods where life gets hectic. We'd been through stressful times before, when we were saving for the house, when I was struggling to land big clients. And we always came out stronger. So I told myself that this was just one of those phases. I never wanted to believe it was anything more. But deep down, something felt off. Our 10th wedding anniversary was supposed to be a huge milestone for us. I'd planned a nice dinner at a restaurant we both loved, and we were going to spend the weekend at a small bed and breakfast down near the Mornington Peninsula. I thought it would be a chance for us to reconnect, to celebrate everything we'd built together. The night of our anniversary dinner, I remember watching Emily get ready in our bedroom. She looked beautiful, as she always does. Flowing dress, her brown hair loosely curled, her light tan glowing under the dim lights. But something was off. She seemed distracted. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes, and she barely looked at me as we headed out the door. At dinner, I tried to ignore it, but I couldn't shake the feeling that her mind was elsewhere. Every time her phone buzzed, she'd glance at it, her fingers dancing over the screen quickly before she put it back down. I joked about her being glued to work even on our anniversary, and she just gave me a weak smile and said, "Sorry, it's just a busy time right now." I brushed it off, trying not to let it ruin the night. But in the back of my mind, something didn't feel right. That night when we got back home, Emily went straight to bed, claiming she was exhausted from the long week. I stayed up for a bit, sitting on the couch, staring at the flickering TV without really watching it. I was trying to figure out what had changed between us. I couldn't put my finger on it, but it felt like there was an invisible wall between us. That weekend at the bed and breakfast was even worse. Emily was distant the entire time. She barely touched me, and every conversation felt forced. I kept asking myself if I was imagining things, if maybe I was the one overthinking, but every time I looked at her, I could tell her mind was somewhere else. It all came crashing down a couple of weeks after our anniversary. One night, I came home early from work. Emily had been home for about an hour, and when I walked into our bedroom to grab my laptop, I noticed her phone on the bedside table. Normally, it wouldn't have caught my attention, but that night, something made me pause. Her phone buzzed as I walked past, and I glanced down at the screen. A message flashed up from a guy named Ryan. "Can't wait to see you again." My heart stopped. I felt a sick feeling in my gut as I stared at the message. My mind raced, telling me it was probably harmless, maybe a work thing. But deep down, I knew better. I didn't want to, but I picked up her phone and unlocked it. We'd always had each other's passcodes. It wasn't a big deal. But now, as I scrolled, through her messages, I realized how naive I'd been. There it was. Message after message from Ryan, her colleague at work. It wasn't just flirty. It was obvious they'd been seeing each other. They'd been meeting up after work, sneaking around, all while I was sitting at home thinking we were just going through a rough patch. The most gut-wrenching part? It wasn't just the messages about meeting up. It was the way she talked to him, affectionate, playful, like she used to be with me. She called him things she hadn't called me in years. My chest tightened as I read through the conversations, my hands shaking as I tried to process what I was seeing. I don't know how long I stood there, staring at her phone. But eventually, I heard her footsteps coming down the hallway. I put the phone back, my heart racing, and sat down on the bed. When she walked into the room, I don't know how I managed to act normal, but somehow I did. I knew I needed to think things through before confronting her, even though my head was spinning with anger and hurt. For the next few days, I felt like I was living in a nightmare. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I'd lie awake at night next to Emily, staring at the ceiling, wondering how everything had fallen apart so quickly. I wanted to confront her right away, but I needed time to gather my thoughts. I wasn't sure how to handle it. Should I confront her with anger? Should I ask her to explain? Should I just walk away? The breaking point came one evening after work. We were sitting in the living room, both of us in silence. I couldn't take it anymore. "Who is Ryan?" I asked, my voice sounding calm, though I felt anything but calm inside. Emily froze. Her face paled, and for a split second, she looked like a deer caught in the headlights. She tried to play it off, but I could see the panic in her eyes. "What do you mean?" "I saw the messages, Emily. I know about you and him," I said, my voice shaking as I spoke the words I'd been dreading. She didn't deny it. She didn't try to explain right away. Instead, she broke down crying. It wasn't the kind of crying that comes with remorse, though. It was more like someone who'd been caught red-handed and didn't know what to do next. After a few moments of silence, she finally spoke. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this," she sobbed. "I never wanted to hurt you." I didn't even know how to respond to that. I just sat there, my chest tight with a mix of anger and heartbreak. "How long has it been going on?" I asked, though part of me didn't want to hear the answer. She hesitated, then finally admitted, "A few months." I couldn't believe it. For months, while I thought we were just going through a rough patch, she'd been sneaking around with someone else. I felt like a fool, like I'd been living in a lie for months without even realizing it. She tried to explain, to tell me how she'd been feeling disconnected, how Ryan had been there for her when she felt lonely. But all I could hear were excuses. We'd been through rough patches before, and we'd always talked about it, worked through it. Why was this time different? Why didn't she come to me? That night I slept on the couch, though I didn't get much sleep. My mind was racing with everything that had just happened. The next few days were a blur. Emily and I barely spoke. She apologized over and over, but it didn't change the fact that she'd betrayed me. I couldn't look at her the same way. I kept asking myself the same questions over and over. How could she do this to me? To us? What had I missed? Was it something I did? Something I didn't do? At first, I wanted revenge. I wanted to hurt her the way she'd hurt me. I thought about kicking her out of the house, calling her friends and family to tell them what she'd done. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that revenge wouldn't heal the pain. It wouldn't undo what had happened, and it certainly wouldn't bring me any peace. So instead, I decided to walk away, I told her I couldn't stay in the marriage after what she'd done. I didn't yell, I didn't scream. I just calmly told her I was leaving. She cried, begged me to stay, said we could work through it. But I knew I couldn't. The trust was gone. The love I'd felt for her had been shattered, and I couldn't rebuild that. Not after everything. It's been a few months since we separated. I moved out of the house and got my own place. It's been hard. Really hard. There are days when I wake up and feel like I don't even know who I am anymore. I spent over a decade with Emily, and now it feels like that entire part of my life has been erased. I've been going to the beach a lot. There's something about the ocean that helps calm my mind. It's ironic, really. The same beach where Emily and I used to go when we first started dating is now the place where I'm trying to heal from the wounds she left behind. I've also started seeing a therapist, which has been helping more than I expected. There's still a long road ahead of me, but I'm starting to realize that maybe this was a necessary ending. I deserve more than the lies and deceit that Emily gave me, and I'm trying to focus on rebuilding my life, one day at a time. Thanks for reading, Reddit. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. I'm still trying to figure out how to move on from all of this, but hearing from others who have been through something similar would mean the world to me. How did you deal with the betrayal? How do you trust again? Any advice would be helpful.